My second grade friends, I am going to walk us through task number 8 in your rating packet for phase 4. Okay, so you will need your paper for task 4, your teacher direction sheets, and you will need the task or the story, Troika Canine Superhero. So go ahead and grab that out so you can follow along as I read to you. Okay, it should look like this. It looks like it's kind of a long story, so get comfortable, but make sure you're listening and paying attention. And as we read, we're focusing on the sequence of events. So what happens? What happens in the beginning of the story, the middle of the story, and the end of the story. Okay? All right, so we'll go ahead and let's get started. Troika, the Canine Superhero. I'm sure every boy loves his dog. If you ask any boy how much love he has for his dog, he'll say, more than anyone ever loved a dog before. My dog is different. My dog is a superhero. And he became one even though he only had 3 legs. And I know for sure that I love my dog more than anyone has ever loved a dog before. This dog was different from the day he was born. The other puppies in the litter scrambled over each other. They barked and whined and growled, but one dog was calm, and as though he knew what was going on. And when I held him, he looked me right in the eyes. It was as if he could speak. At the time, I couldn't think of a name that was good enough to fit him, so I just called him Dog. Dog only got better as he got older. He was the smartest of the litter and by far the most loyal. The other dogs sleep outside in doghouses, but Dog couldn't fall asleep unless he was next to me. He would wait outside his doghouse all night, so he sleeps on the floor of my bedroom. We're never apart for a minute. Dog and I live in Canada, above the Arctic Circle. Up here, there's snow on the ground for 9 months of the year. There aren't many roads and the rivers stay frozen. The sun doesn't even come up for a good part of the winter. My family and I use dog sleds to get around on the frozen pond. It's hard to make a living up here. If there's a thaw during the winter, it's impossible to cross the rivers by sled. Sometimes food runs low and we have to hunt deer and other animals. During one thaw, I went out hunting. I had brought down a deer. The dogs were resting while I cleaned it. I realize now that it was my fault. I should have known that the thaw would bring some bears out of hibernation. I should have known that the smell of the deer would attract them, but I didn't think of it until the hungry bear had knocked me down, and by then it was too late. I was staring straight down the throat of a huge grizzly. But out of nowhere, Dog ripped free from his harness and leapt on the bear's back. The bear roared and twisted, but Dog held on. It seemed to take forever. Dog was thrown by a swipe of the bear's huge paw, and the angry creature finally ran off. I ran over to Dog. The wet snow was stained scarlet with his blood. His leg was bitten badly, and I was sure the bone was broken. Dog could barely lift his head, but his eyes still told me that he was there for me. I carried Dog home as quickly as I could, but his leg was badly hurt. My father had to amputate it. I was heartbroken, but Dog didn't seem to mind, and soon enough he was back to being the best dog in the litter. Even with 3 legs, Dog was still my strongest runner. The next winter, I started entering dog sled races, and Dog was always my lead dog. The other kids looked at me funny for having a 3-legged lead dog, but they looked at me very differently when we won. After winning a few races, I entered my longest race yet. The course stretched over 500 kilometers. I was one of the youngest people to enter, and the only person on with a 3-legged lead dog. But early on, Dog and I were in first place. The other racers even commented on how strong Dog seemed. The hardest part of the race was the long stretch across the frozen river. The winds were bitter and the ice could be dangerous. As the dogs ran, I could hear the river groaning and creaking under the ice. Suddenly, the ice shuddered and cracked. Dog tugged hard, like he knew there was trouble. But the front of my sled caught the crack and it tumbled into the icy water. The shock went through my whole body. I never thought anything could be so cold. I could barely see, and all I could do was hold on tight. Ahead of me, I saw dark shapes moving. At the front of those dark shapes was Dog. He kept tugging, no matter what. At last, the team was able to drag the sled out of the water. He had saved me again. I spent the whole night by the fire, and I thought I might never be warm or dry again. But Dog curled up next to me. He kept me warm all night. By the next morning, we were ready to go again. I thought this was the last of our troubles. The next morning dawned bright and cold, and we were running hard, and it wasn't long before we were at the head of the pack again, and Dog, as always, was right up front. During a short rest, Dog's ears suddenly pricked up. There was a crashing sound coming from the trees. A huge bull moose stumbled into the clearing where we were. Nothing scares me more than a moose. Unlike bears, they're unpredictable. They seem to get mad and charge for no reason. The moose sent a puff of steam out of its nostrils, and then with a grunt, it started to gallop towards us. This was a disaster. The moose was about to trample me and my entire sled dog team. But like a shot, Dog leapt at the moose and seized its leg. The moose gave a nasty kick. It was too much even for Dog, who went sailing through the air. He hit a tree hard, and I was sure he was dead. The moose lowered its head and seemed to eye the rest of the dogs. The dog got up, and he stood swaying on his three legs, and he stared at the moose with his eyes until the moose realized the dog would never give up. Looking a little frightened, the moose retreated into the woods. That was the third time my three-legged dog has saved my life. And after that, I knew that I would name him what I would name him. I chose the word troika. It's a Russian word that refers to things that come in threes. And even though he only had 3 legs, he has proven 3 times that he is a true superhero. All right, so now that we've read the story, okay, I want you to go back into the story again, okay? This time, I want you to find any key details that will help you to remember the sequence or the order in which things happened in the story, okay? So I want you to reread the story again. So either have a family member read it to you or rewind this video and start from the beginning and listen to it again. And then we will do the scoop organizer that is on this page of your graphic, of your packet. Okay. Let's go ahead and pause this movie and rewind it. And hit play when you're ready to go. All right, so now that you've gone back into your story and you've noted some important things, we're going to use the scoop organizer, okay? And this one's going to tell us, what order things happen in, okay? So setting, characters, the oh no moment, kind of like the problem, and then the order of event sequencing and problem solve. So this is a little bit different than what we've done in the past. So let me bring this up. So here's your organizer. So the S stands for setting. So pause this video and tell me the setting of the story. Where does the setting take place? Don't just say in the snow, describe it for me. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Okay, so S is setting. Okay, so now we're gonna do the C part, okay? The C are the characters. So on this line by the C, you're gonna write the characters. who were the characters in the story? Think about the main character. Who was it mostly about? And then any other supporting characters. In this story, it could be the other animals, because animals are characters also. The first O is for like, oh no. Okay, so that's the problem. What is the problem in the story? Okay, so this story here with Troika, the canine superhero, think the problem as there's a couple of different problems in the story. So depending on your problem, it's going to determine how you complete the rest of your organizer. Okay, so I think it was a problem way back in the beginning of the story when he first got the puppy. Okay, what problem did he have with the puppy? Okay. The second O, you have 3 lines here to write the order of events. So think about details in the story and how the story played out. If you need more space, you can write on another piece of paper and just kind of tape it or staple it to this paper. And the P is for problem solve. So go back up here to your oh no problem, right? This first O, and think about that problem. The P, how was that problem solved, or your solution? Okay, so now that we're done getting the scoop, your next test, you have a series of pictures, okay, the next 2 pages, this one and this one, okay? So your job is to look at each picture, okay, these are pictures from the text, and write a narrative or a caption under each story to tell the sequence of events in the story, okay? So remember the story that we read, all right? If you need to reread it again, please do so, right? Read it as many times as you need to. Use this picture and tell me about what happened, okay? So this picture right here, this first one, there's dogs and there's a tent. Tell me what happened, okay? And you're going to do that for each one, all right? And let me see, when you're done, yep, and they are sequenced in order, so it might definitely help you to go back and listen to the story again, okay? Try on this part to make sure your details are in there and give me 2 complete sentences to go with each picture to tell about that, okay? 2 complete sentences, all right? And that way we'll know what it's about, all right? And that's your last task for your reading packet for learning task 4. Nice job, friends. Don't forget when you're done second grade, friends, to have your family take a picture or a video to show your teachers the hard work that you've done. If you're unable to do that, go ahead and turn it into the school and your teachers will come pick it up there, okay? I'm really proud of you guys and I can't wait to see you on our next lesson. Have a great day.